Hi guys, I'm Greg.
I'm Jerry.
John and Greg are going to review the Power Rangers movie, the 2017 edition, directed by DJ Caruso.
DJ Caruso.
Dean Israelite.
Hot off the heels of Eagle Eye.
I just want to say they hooked it up, man.
Yeah, they did.
They got us pop figures that we left in the other room right now, but they're pretty fucking sweet. Thank you, Pear.
Yeah.
Hooking us up with this screening. Full screen. It's all about full screen. When you guys want to know YouTube MCN to work with, I say full screen, because everyone else just bitches about their MCN. And I'm one of the people who's like, I love my rep. I think she's great. So this is not going to be a spoiler review, especially because this video is going up before its release date. This movie, when I saw it had like at the time, 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I thought, that's actually not bad for what I was expecting from this movie. And it got me rather looking forward to watching the flick. And I gotta say, coming out of it, all I could say was it's a really fun movie. I would say go watch it. It's a fun movie.
Had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
It's not in a questionable way either. Like it's just a really fun fucking movie.
Totally full disclosure, when we watched the trailers the first few times, I wasn't sold on this and I was kind of not looking forward to it. And within a few minutes of it starting, I was like, this is actually kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. It kind of starts off really heavy.
It starts off like the Power Rangers short film that Adi Shankar did.
Yeah.
It was reminiscent of how that one opened. These are kind of similar openings a little bit, with the planets being destroyed and they're firing guns and Power Rangers are they're showing the
mythos of the
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Long ago in the Cretaceous.
Just love how it said Power Rangers in the title. It's really gonna be a serious gritty film.
They had that frame rate thing where all the debris is really crisp and nasty.
Then a black screen, and then on the side corner, just a side corner, Power Rangers and these gritty letters. Yeah,
just Logan the shit.
Yeah, there's a Logan moment. It starts introducing the Rangers we'll get to know. Jason, it starts off with. And this really interesting introduction where you're like, I can tell they're going for a gritty drama, but it's not quite hitting me in that way. Well, but I wasn't annoyed by it because it was still fun as fuck to watch because it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's weird. It's everything feels like it's pretty sincere, and they put a lot of effort into shooting everything. Because the thing is, the first kind of action-y sequence, it's like a car crash basically, and the way they shoot it is so intense that you're like, this is kind of crazy and over the top, but it's also really engaging. I really am caught up in this. It's this shot that's literally just swiveling around, showing you
fascinating because
the inside of the car.
It's a really cool shot for a much more serious kind of moment in a movie.
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird charm of some of this stuff for me. Power Rangers always had, I feel they would touch on an issue at some point in the show, and it always felt like an after-school special because that's what that was. And when the drama ramps up here, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like after-school special drama, but that's fine.
Well, the first 20 minutes are going for intense drama. It's super handheld and gritty looking, and
at first I was like, this is looking way too serious.
Yeah.
It's looking like it really wants me
to
buy.
And then Jason's dad, whose only role in this movie is to be annoyed or
concerned, to be noble and tired and frustrated and just providing for his boy.
His boy, who's just a major disappointment to him.
Who's for some reason got wrecked up with a bunch of cop cars and destroyed property damage and invaded police. That looked like a crime at the beginning.
Anyways, as the film keeps going, we start meeting our other characters. The guy who plays Billy, R.J. Seiler, he's my favorite character in this movie.
He is fucking great.
He is the highlight of the film for me. I like them all, but he's the one who felt like a three-dimensional character the most to me. He felt like he was actually layered. More in the writing, I think, too, but his performance, too, I felt was very much a layered performance.
I feel like he got the most sort of apparent of a character to work with, because he had to do a lot of mannerisms and stuff like that, and I don't know, there's just something that's so natural. I feel like of all the cast, I liked everybody, but I thought the levels of acting were a little scattered.
Yeah.
But I thought he had the best of everything for me. He was really fun to watch, but also very convincing.
Yeah.
And also a very natural feeling character.
Totally.
You know.
I even like the lead.
Yeah, Dacker Montgomery.
Yeah, Dacker Montgomery played Jason. I thought he was really cool. I mean, he didn't seem like a high school kid at all to me.
Yeah.
Especially in his like deep voice.
Yeah. But I thought, as like,
as much as you're trying to make him look young by keeping him completely clean shaven and styling his hair that way.
Yeah, for the kind of character they wanted him to be, and you know, you're replacing. This is the new Jason. Like, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed watching him. I got kind of an inkling the same way I did the first couple times I watched, like, James Marsden or something.
Yeah.
You know, where I'm like, oh yeah, you're pretty good at this. Like, and you're taking it seriously, appropriately enough.
And Jason and Billy, they have great chemistry together, I think, in the movie. I thought those two, I thought they were like the core friendship of what makes this movie sort of work in its heart of where it's at.
Yeah.
I feel like with them, it was the most authentically felt their connection.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because they have personal touches with those two when they're together.
Well, and theirs is the most, to me, was the most sort of heartfelt bond because they get the longest time together and they're the two characters that, you know, I think learn to care for each other the most naturally. And that, you know, makes them really lovable. You know, that makes them really fun to watch together.
The first scene where they meet, I thought, that scene with me, I looked at John, I was like, I love this guy. I was talking about Jason. When Jason does something that's really cool, and I don't want to give the scene away, but it's the scene where he meets Billy for the first time. Everyone laughed in this scene, and it was something cool, and I was like, I like this guy. Man, the movie did. I really love this guy already. And then as their scenes together started like forming, I thought it like that their chemistry felt natural. It didn't feel supernatural amongst the whole cast. I will say though, this film is one of those movies where the flaws are so apparent, but it all kind of adds to its charm. Because I don't feel like all of it is intentionally flawed.
Yeah,
that's the
it's
thing.
Weird. Like there are moments where it does just come across cheesy, which scrambles my brain a little bit. Because on the one hand, you want to go, well, technically this is by the numbers. That's a flaw in this movie. You know, like the seams are coming apart and it's creating a dissonance in the tone. But at the same time, for what they're doing here, that's almost the best thing possible because part of what's lovable about Power Rangers is that it is a little hokey. I feel like they kind of carried on the vibe just by taking everything really seriously.
Yeah, I think it totally worked because at the end of the day it is Power Rangers, especially that first 20 minutes. I'm feeling more serious, but as those scenes go on in the movie.
But it committed to every emotion the same way. It's like when it wanted to be cool, it wanted to be cool. You know, and so that creates
it's the modern day version of what Power Rangers was. Because nowadays it's like I thought this film was setting out to kind of be like what Fantastic Four tried being with Josh Trank's version at first. You know, we're like this is a way more serious version, but it's not quite succeeding. You know, but as it kept going. The cheesiness to this film is part of what makes it so enjoyable. Whether it's being intentionally or unintentionally cheesy, the cheese is constant, and it feels, and it's so it's so enjoyable. But because it's trying to be that, it's like going for that like more gritty appearance for a lot of it, for sure. Especially with like Rita. Like, holy shit, she's a horror movie character in this movie.
You pointed that out, and that is, like, they really do shoot her like a horror movie. And there are some really cool, very inventive little visual
I was like, that's scary.
This movie did, like, impress me with certain choices that it made, at least. Because it was funny. This is a big budget movie they clearly dumped a lot of effects on, but part of the time it doesn't feel so big and shiny. Like, a lot of the scenes where they're just at school, they're almost a little messy in a way that almost made it feel a little more real. Gave that sort of like toned down like indie vibe for a second.
Oh, totally. Well, what they're doing was smart with this movie, I think, because for most of it, they're not the Power Rangers. They don't the big obstacle they keep having that they're trying to overcome is that in order for them to go into Morphin time. See, how can you talk about that like it's such a serious way?
I wonder if the best possible thing is that they just decided to accept that this movie could be cheesy and that could be good. Because when you think someone had to have had that chat in the writing room of like, so when it's Morphin time, and that's important. I almost feel like that's actually an important choice to make in a time where. You know, we struggle with characters' catchphrases, like Hulk smash or like it's clobbering time. Like
I will say though, they don't say Morphin, they say Morph. It's time for you to morph, and it makes it a little less cheesy. So and
Did you say it once though?
No, but yeah, that's the thing. In the trailer,
okay.
In the trailer when Jason does say it, he does say it eventually. But when he says it in that moment, it kind of worked for me.
Yeah, because it's about camaraderie at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, I get why.
The way this scene played out and all the scenes before, that choice of dialogue, I'm like, yeah, it sounds like something he would actually say right now.
Yeah. Because it doesn't sound like he was just trying to come up with a cool way to say it. It's like he was, at that point.
It was like a verb. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like when you're focused and you're relaxed, you're like, yep. It's like it's the clap before you go,
Yeah, this movie's a total blast.
Yeah, it's a good time.
And I gotta say with Zordon too, when I first heard that they cast Bryan Cranston, I was like, I think he has a cool voice for Zordon, but what the fuck are they really gonna utilize Bryan Cranston for other than to mouth off what God's saying?
Yeah, well, and I was like, why is he doing this? And Elizabeth Banks too. I was like, what? It's strange that they should take a movie like this.
And for those types of roles too, it's an interesting cast choice.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell what level this movie is going to play on. They've been making a lot of these properties lately, and like we just saw the Max Steel trailer a couple months ago, and I felt like this had the potential to kind of teeter in that direction, perhaps.
Totally.
But it kind of seems like everybody just threw down and committed to making like a fun B movie because like that's kind of how that all feels natural.
Oh, totally.
Like Bill Hader and Bryan Cranston and Elizabeth Banks all do kind of feel natural after a while because it is just a big B movie and everyone seems like they wanted to be there.
Yeah. Bryan Cranston, in terms of the writing, the writing gave stuff Bryan Cranston to do. They made Zordon a full character in this movie. Yeah. He was more than just the wisdom talking head.
Zordon Origins.
Yeah, it was like a Zordon Origins movie a little bit.
It starts as a young head.
You see Zordon.
He grows into a bigger head.
You see, when you first see Zordon, it's before he's the head.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, what's that like? Who knows?
Well, we saw the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, where he's like that.
That's true.
But he's like old and dying. But in this one, you see young Zordon.
Young Zordon.
Yeah, just a boy.
That's
the thing with all these like reboots. You gotta see like more of an origin too.
Yeah. This is sort of like an origin story, as though it were the first. It's like the first episode of Power Rangers.
An movie franchise format. Yeah.
Yeah. So in some ways, it does play like a big long episode, and I personally liked that about it. But it does, I think, cause some of the middle parts to sag.
Yeah.
Like there's some times where I'm like, I understand where we're going. It's like, I like that they took the time on certain things. This movie has a weird balance of a lot of times they'll actually let moments play out. It seems like, especially when it comes to the characters growing, it lets moments play out. And then at other times, it'll just kind of plot hole its way into the next situation. You'll be like, wait, what just happened there?
Well, what I appreciate about this movie, in terms of like a part one of a franchise, why I think it's smart, most of it is dedicated to just getting to know these guys. Whether or not the acting is always good, or okay, or actually really good,
Yeah.
Or the writing itself. The movie has, like what you said earlier, a sincere quality to it where it's aiming for you to just get to know the Power Rangers, like, as people. So I could see the smart choice in having the build-up be around, because you've seen the trailers, it's Power Rangers, you're never going to see them in their suits, but there's this whole build-up to they can't morph together yet. It's all building to when they morph together. That's when we're going to get into the fucking finale. It's like we saw that coming.
You gotta learn how to work together.
But the thing was, and what's cool is that the movie takes time to work together in terms on an emotional level, not just like a fighting level, because that's the key to making the Power Rangers a unit. These strangers, they have to learn to work together on an emotional and mental level.
They have to have their connection. And I mean, I do think it's cool that they use, friendship basically as that. And like,
yeah, that's cool.
And that makes it harken back. That it's like part of that makes it kind of cheesy, but that also makes it harken back to the thing that I think people still love about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think that feeds nostalgia is when you do it again, you do have to kind of just let the characters kind of be together a little bit so that we can just have fun with them,
I think that like with a sequel for this, I think they'd have an even easier time embracing the fun, cheesier elements of what they've kind of set up. Kind of like how I feel like the Fast and Furious franchise has sort of evolved into that.
I might go back and see it again and eat my words, but I also like that it didn't get too enormous. It wasn't a million locations and stuff like that. It was mostly like, it did feel like we were in this like small town in the middle of nowhere where they would occasionally hike up into the mountains. Even the big set pieces, you know, with Goldar, like, are still pretty contained in terms of space. So there are only a few times that I got destruction overload, and it was more because of visual chaos than like sheer amount of destruction, you know?
Here's what I think about Goldar too, working in this. I was a little disappointed that they didn't make him a character, really.
Yeah.
He's just, you know, it's like when Loki sends that Cyclops into that town and that Thor has to fight, you know? He's like that ultimate machine.
It's like
built
creature.
It's Doomsday, you know?
Or Doomsday, yeah. It's like, you know, you got the you know, supernatural witchy lady on the ground, and then you got the giant dude who can destroy stuff over here.
Well, because in the the show, Goldar talks. He's an actual character.
An articulating face.
And he's not a massive. He can morph into that, but he's not always like that. But here, what I thought what they did neat with it was they didn't just have Goldar appear like. Finally, like out of nowhere, they were building him up. Rita was constantly, whenever we saw Rita in her horror movie that she was in, in her straight up horror movie.
Like Rita was like a Sam Raimi movie.
She was,
which was cool. Like I was like,
you know, it's a little misplaced, but it works at the same time.
Well, because those scenes just get to be about her.
I think that makes up for not really spending much time with Rita for a lot of the movie.
Yeah, because we know how to feel.
Exactly. So I thought it was a fun, clever way to do that, and she's also constantly talking about how she's gonna put together Goldar.
Yeah,
because she like and like really is Goldar's her ultimate weapon. And the thing is, when Goldar's there, he doesn't just show up briefly. When the Power Rangers have to fight him, it goes on for a long time. It's like it's part of the big fight of the movie. It goes on for a long time, and I thought that I appreciated that. It wasn't like, they start working together and they fucking just take out Goldar like it's nothing, you know?
There are a couple moments where I was like, wait, is that it? And that can't be it. You know, like they haven't done certain things yet. Like
that sold me. At one point I said to you, like, that's it?
Yeah. There are lots of little things that could be flawish, but they almost add to the charm and the mystique. And I can see being upset about changing Goldar, but I did think that of all the characters I've seen warped around, I thought this was a cool take on it, at least. They made him this big, like, molten gold creature, and the way they animated that was beautiful.
It was cool. It was really cool.
I was surprised how great that looked. Like,
it was really cool. And Rita had some great effects, too.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't outside the realm of the spirit of Power Rangers, so even that change, he was still kind of a Power Rangers-y villain. He still had the potential to get gooey.
Yeah.
You know? And Elizabeth Banks, I thought, did a really good job.
I think they thought part of what will make it fun is that we're taking it more serious. I think that'd be like the best way to sum it up. I think they're aware that if they try to make it more serious, it'll be fun in its own in that fashion. Just because it's Power Rangers, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it feels like it just accepts that, you know, we got to take it seriously, and the idea of us doing a grittier Power Rangers is funny in and of itself, and that's okay.
Because like the characters all have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
All the characters, they crack jokes and stuff. They say funny shit. They all have a sense of humor. That's part of what makes them really likable in this movie.
Yeah.
But when we're saying like in a more serious way, I'm talking about how like the tone in the world, what is Angel Grove or something, of how that feels, of how all this situation feels, you know? Yeah. But the characters all have a sense of humor, so there's definitely a lot of comedy in this film.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a good like I like the ensemble overall. It would have been nice to get maybe a little more of an equal development on everybody, because I feel like we really got to know Billy and Jason.
And as far as the females, Kimberly
a little bit, Trini a little bit less.
Well, the thing is, Billy and Jason, I think, were the strongest actors.
Yeah, that too. Definitely.
And the other guys, well, they have their moments where they're definitely like fun and good. Zach, to me, first it took me a while to figure out who Zach was really trying to be like.
Yeah, that was because he was like.
His first few lines are all about, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I was like, did you forget to write this character some dialogue? Because the rest of them seem to, like, when it starts, Jason and Billy kind of have character talk, and then he just says woo and I'm crazy. And
well, the way they threw in that moment where you do learn why Zach is sort of the way he is, you see the depth and the sad part to Zach. I thought it worked. I thought it was a good scene.
That was Ludi Lin is the guy's name.
Ludi Lin,
once we cut, like I didn't know what to make of that character when we first met him. Even when they first started throwing him in that montage, Like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Why are we cutting to this guy? When we cut into his life, when they did this sort of like, ooh, his backstory. Those scenes I really liked.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I did.
No, it is kind of wacky for Power Rangers. They were great scenes.
There were some really good scenes, I thought.
And that's what he is best, and that works out well for that character.
And Trini, I felt like Zachary Montgomery and R.J. Seiler, they knew the right tone to hit for this film in terms of their performance.
Yeah.
And for me, it felt like the girl who played Trini, Becky G, while she had moments that I thought were definitely good, I kind of felt like she probably thought it was a little bit more cheesy in terms of how she should perform something, you know?
Yeah.
She sort of felt like she was coming a little more out of like the show instead of the kind of world they're providing here. That's why I felt like she sometimes sounded a little off. I still liked her.
Although when she gave that speech about her backstory, man, like,
yeah, that was good.
I was like, oh,
yeah, that was good.
Right. Like, everybody gets a moment to shine. Everybody on the Power Rangers team gets at least one or two moments where I really enjoyed, like a scene of theirs impacted me.
That's why it's cool. We got to know the characters.
Yeah, we got to know the characters, and the characterization, again, like, even though Bryan Cranston's just a big face.
They give him a full character.
Yeah, he's
got a motivation or reasoning, and he gets emotional, you
yeah,
know?
And I was watching it, I was just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I'm enjoying that it's Bryan Cranston at least. Like, it wasn't as maybe distracting as I thought it might have been. Bill Hader, I wish Bill Hader had a little more to do, but, you know.
Yeah, I didn't really care for Alpha, honestly. I kind of didn't really like Alpha.
Yeah, I didn't feel like they utilized Alpha very much.
Yeah.
Like, more than just to kind of be around and...
It's too CGI too, man, for me, honestly.
I was torn on that throughout because there were times where Alpha kind of reminded me of like a Men in Black character or something like that. He's got the little like star juice light bulb eyes. I don't know, like of all the things in the movie, like I was excited that it was Bill Hader, but yeah, that character never fully came together as distinct to me.
I kind of wish they did morph together a little earlier, or at least made the training sequences better,
more interesting, or like,
or really show them like learning skills instead of basic combat on certain things.
Well, and I think like we know they're gonna learn combat, and you show some of that too. But I feel like you go back to the Spider-Man playbook or something like that, where it's like we show them learning and training specifically, but we also show what their powers do in regular life.
Yeah,
and they do for a couple. Like a couple of them break something, but like.
Yeah, this was the superhero. This was the superhero origin take on Power Rangers, I feel.
Yeah, and they say that like throughout the movie. Like,
yeah,
we're superheroes.
Yeah, they're making fun on that,
Yeah.
I might have liked to have seen them morph together a little bit earlier because what kind of happens is like the movie's very obvious. I guess this is a minor spoiler. But it doesn't happen until the finale where like you finally get there and the movie's building to that and you know it's going.
Yeah, this is the...
they're not going to morph until the finale. So then they kind of just throw in all the cool shit like all at once. Like the Major's trailer shit you saw. It kind of just... Most of that kind of just the big act, because I remember thinking that when I was watching the trailer, like it's like the big action scene just one place the whole time, and it's like this giant finale. I kind of would have liked to have seen them like learn how to do a little bit more of like when he's like when Jason knows how to use a sword super well. Yeah, just morphs from his armor. Just like Billy's like awesome kicks that he was doing. Like I don't know where he learned to do that.
It would have been nice to see some of those. I feel like ultimately underneath it all, like this movie it's a Power Rangers movie for better and for worse. Like whatever that means. Like I feel like it kind of has the stuff that you would hope a modern Power Rangers movie has in it, and it drags in all the places you would expect a Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, true.
It's a little bit cheesy. There's some flat dialogue. Some of the performances are better than others. Some of the effects are better than others. Everything that's pretty good has a moment where it's kind of great and like really enjoyable. There's heart and none of the sort of after school special emotional like gritty moments feel all that out of place because there were elements of that in the show also. So there's a lot that nostalgia helps out about this.
Totally.
But of all the big, loud, noisy, blockbuster movies we've seen lately, like this one surprised me.
I also think too, though, with the finale, because it's the finale of the movie, you only get to see them do Power Ranger stuff on ground, like in costume, not that long in this movie. It's when you think about it, like it's primarily spent with them and their cool droid Dino Zords fighting Goldar and Rita and shit, but they're primarily there in the ships the whole time.
Yeah.
And I've been like the whole movie, you're building to them being able to fucking just start doing martial arts and fight weird things, you know? And there's not much of that in this movie. There really isn't.
Hey man, the next one will be directed by Gareth Evans.
Yeah.
Just like sick fucking choreographed fist fights and stuff.
But I feel like it's a great part 1.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
it's obviously franchising. It's like, how can you not? It's Power Rangers. As a part 1, I'm like, oh yeah, then the sequel will be great because they can have more action because they spent the first one building up the characters so much. They really wanted to make sure people really like the characters, because that's what makes the TV show work so well.
Yeah.
Is that despite its corniness, it's the characters that people, I'm Jason, I'm Kimberly. I've always had a crush on Kimberly, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's and so I feel like this movie succeeds, which is so opposite of what our trailer reviews were. Our reactions were like so opposite from how I ended up feeling about the actual product.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, again, I enjoyed myself a lot more than I thought I did. I feel like when you're mining properties like this, each one has an opportunity, for me at least, to kind of make the right impressions, I guess. So, like, I feel like this movie satisfied me for the things that I care about the most, which is, like, you know, yeah, it does kind of care about, you know, its characters, as long as we're going to reboot this franchise, and it does care to get the spiritual elements right. Yeah, it's a rough film around the edges. There's some cheesy, draggy stuff, and those things are flaws, but they don't, like, take that much away from the movie for me.
No, not at all.
I feel like I feel good about it because they got the right things right for me.
Alright, well, that's our review of Power Rangers. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects. You can click that bell. John's Reasons to Jerry on Twitter and Instagram. He's a social media manager at Blumhouse and God. Shout out to God, for he created the Power Rangers.
He did. On the 7th.
That's what Saban means. Lord.
And Savior
of Jesus Christ.
Jesus.